let's start. Frank, can you tell us about your friend Will Eisner and about this project? And as you look back on that friendship and this project looking forward, how do you feel about that today?
You got a week?
We got all day, Frank.
Well, I first met Will Eisner actually on a street in Vermont when I was bicycling back home with a bunch of new comic books, and there was a new Spirit comic. And at the time, I thought Will Eisner was the new hot artist in comics. It was sometime around 1973. And I couldn't wait. I really couldn't wait. So on the street, I opened up an issue of Jim Warren's publication, The Spirit, and fell inside. And met Will Eisner through his drawings, through a particular drawing of the Spirit walking by the waterfront, thinking about the love of his life who'd gone bad. Years passed and I got to meet Will. By then I was a comic book professional. And Neil Adams at the time was throwing parties at his Continuity Associates, which was a place where he kept a lot of comic book artists alive by getting them commercial work while the publishers were paying slave wages. And I met Will Eisner and was thrilled, and Jim Shooter was eager to introduce me to Will Eisner because I was one of Jim's favorites. And Will was the friendliest, sweetest guy in the world. And he took a quick look and went, great, great, great. You're gonna do fine, son. And I walked away kind of dispirited, thinking, well, that's all I'm gonna get out of Will Eisner. And then Jim wouldn't let up, forced Eisner to read the page that I'd done. And then the real Will Eisner appeared. And he went, you know, this caption here is completely serving no purpose, and it just doesn't belong on that page. That began a 25-year argument, where Will and I never stopped debating the nature of comic books and how they worked and what made them work. He was my mentor. He was my friend, and so when Mike Hughesland asked me to take the helm of the Spirit movie, I refused for 3 seconds, and then realized that if I didn't do it, somebody else was going to do it, and something very bad could happen. So I signed on, and it's dropped everything else. A half-finished graphic novel, all kinds of things to get to work on it, and to try to bring the Spirit to the screen. Early on, I met with Deborah Del Prete, and she and I became a team, and we forged ahead. She sort of kept the forces of evil out of the way as we moved ahead. She pounded me on the script until it finally made sense, and we got an amazing cast together. It's been a dream of a project. I've had moments of creative euphoria that I've never had before, and I think it's a real cool movie.
You know, this is a solo directorial debut for Frank, but it takes a team to make a film, obviously. Deborah, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you came to the project?
Well, first of all, let me say that a movie takes a lot of people to make. I consider this my dream project of a lifetime. I've actually been waiting my whole life to make this movie. I've been a comic book fan my entire life. I was going to Comic-Con since I've lived in Los Angeles, which is 14 years. I always had dreamed of making a comic book movie. I'm an independent filmmaker. I come from independent films, and it was always very difficult as an independent to get the rights to any kind of comic book. They were kind of held very closely by the major studios. But I got this opportunity a few years ago, and I just wanted for a minute just talk about and put a call out to some of the people in this audience who also helped to get this movie made. First and foremost, my partner, my business partner of 22 years, who has been there for the whole thing, who supported us in every possible way. And she's a producer co-producer on the film with us, and that is Gigi Pritzker. And then the man who had the foresight 14 years ago to get the rights from this comic from Will Eisner, and then had increased foresight to come bring it to me about 5 years ago. That is Michael Uslan, another producer on the film. We also have a lot of people who helped in a million ways, our co-producers, which is F.J. DeSantis and Linda McDonough, and the co-executive producer, Jeff Andrick, and our executive producer, Bill Leshek, and most importantly to Frank and I, one of our team, our creative team is here, our editor, Greg Nussbaum. These people really helped us to get our dream up there on the screen. And I will say, when I heard about the possibility of the Spirit, I was very excited because I knew of Will. I didn't know Will, but I was very fortunate to actually get to meet Will. I was with him at his last Comic-Con, and I got to talk to him about what he wanted the Spirit to be and not be, which with Will, it was more about stuff he didn't want than what he wanted. And, you know, that was very exciting for me, and I felt very much that this film was somewhat of a sacred trust, that we really needed to make the film the right way and to make it in the way that I think Will would have wanted it made. I spent a lot of time talking to Frank about that. Frank and I never, ever once on this, I would say every day on the set, we talk about Will, and we always say what Will would think of it, you know, what Will would think of what we were doing, and it was really important. But most important to me, and
the weirdest part was when he'd start arguing again.
The most important thing, again, as independent filmmakers, we are very different than the studio process, and I think that's really important to this movie, The Spirit, and because we wanted to have the voice of the artist only on the screen. And very oftentimes in the process of filmmaking, you get a lot of other voices. And with a filmmaker like Frank Miller, we went to Frank because of that vision. His vision is the vision we wanted. I was lucky. The first time I met Frank was actually at the premiere of Sin City. I had gone to it. I just worked with Elijah Wood. And I met Frank, and I actually went up to him and said, hey, I'm the girl who's got the rights to The Spirit. But when I saw the movie, I watched that movie, and I sat in that audience, and I thought, oh, this is what we can do now. We can actually bring the artist's vision to screen in a new way, in which all the years I'd seen comic book movies, which I love, we were always missing the artist in the work. We got the story, but we didn't get the art. And the art is so much a part of it for all of us, right? So we got the artist in the work, we got Eisner, and we got Miller. And that's the only two people who I wanted to see work on that screen. And I want a committee, and we were very lucky to go to Lionsgate. They've been an excellent partner to us. They did what they told me they would do. They let us make the movie, and we really made this movie. And what's on that screen is Frank's vision, all of our work, some talented people like Bill Pope and Stu Maschwitz, and I think you as an audience, like me as an audience, as a comic book fan, are going to be excited about what you get to see because it is the work of Frank Miller.
One of the great things about being a director and having a powerful producer is that she remembers everybody's names. So I don't have to.
It's my job.
Frank, I think some people are concerned about you putting Denny Colt into Sin City, in essence, and I know that some people have brought that up. But before we get into all that, maybe it's time to show them a trailer. Yeah! Why don't you introduce the trailer?
The actual trailer. Well, the whole point of a trailer is not to have an introduction, but to be
That's true.
I will imagine a green field. The following preview is for a film not yet rated in America. And then just imagine that you're hoping is a good trailer.
Small Okay, let's see it.